Well, all right. Welcome to Weekly Wisdom. We are here. We know that some more may kind of come in as we go, but we want to make sure we have this word to share with you today, and we want to make sure that we share it. I'm Rajel, and this is my lovely wife, Camille. And
Hello.
hey, we're looking forward to talking to you all today about good trouble. About good trouble. Familiar phrase made famous by Representative John Lewis during his life, during his work with the civil rights movement. As he said, do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. So, the scripture text that I want to use today, that we want to use today, is James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. I'm going to read it out of the New Living Translation. It says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing." You'll be perfect and complete, needing nothing. So those that's the verse that we're going to look at a little bit today. Camille, I'm sure, has it all available in the amplified version, so I'll give her room.
What you want me to just read that part and then you'll.
Sure, however you want to do it.
All right. The Amplified Version reads, "Consider it nothing but joy, my brothers and sisters. Whenever you fall into various trials, be assured that the testing of your faith through experience produces endurance, leading to spiritual maturity and inner peace. And let endurance have its perfect result and do a thorough work, so that you may be perfect and completely developed in your faith, lacking in nothing."
That's good.
That's good.
That's good. So, this text begins to tell us don't waste trouble. And I don't know if you're watching this live or on the rebroadcast. I think that would be a good spot to start. If you could just type in this chat, don't waste your trouble. We have experiences through life. Some of them we look forward to, some of them we don't. Some things feel like joy and triumph, other things feel like trials and tribulations. The trials and tribulations are what we would kind of capsize into the term trouble. I don't have to convince you or help you understand what trouble means. We have all faced some level of trouble in our life. When money doesn't match up with bills, that's trouble. When relationships that are supposed to be full of love instead begin to be full of conflict, that's trouble. When your children begin to act differently than you raised them to act, that is trouble. We can go all sorts of examples. If we look to the left and to the right in our life, we can find many living examples of trouble. What we don't find nearly as often is individuals who will begin to look at that trouble as opportunity. And this scripture begins to tell us that when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity. That is a paradigm shift. That is a mindset shift. And that is a perspective shift. That is a very challenging task for us to take on and to commit to. But when we can begin to adjust our mind and our lens and our perspective and our vision to begin to see the troubles of life that we experience as opportunities, then we begin to see things in a different light. So the first thing I want to challenge you to do today is to change your perspective on trouble. Trouble equals opportunity. If we could begin to see the trouble spots in our lives as opportunity, we can begin, instead of looking like, why is this happening to me? Woe is me, woe is me. We can begin to look at, how will God use this to work out for my good? If we do indeed believe the scripture that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord, who are the called according to his purpose, then could we perhaps begin to position our mind when trouble hits us to say, oh, this is a unique, complex opportunity for me to look at the show of how God is going to turn this trouble into triumph, of how God is going to turn this trial into my ability to overcome, to win, and to be a victor in every situation that I face. How is he going to do it? What's the creative approach? What's the unique way? Again, this requires a shift of mindset so that when troubles begin to load on us and feels like they're attacking us, we have an option to not be like, oh no, this hurts, it's terrible, but instead to begin to say, oh wow, I can't wait to see how I come out of this one. I can't wait to see how the Lord brings me through this situation. And so if we change our perspective on troubles, then we can begin to see troubles as opportunity. That's my first part. I don't know if there's anything you want to add right there.
Yeah, I look at it like because a lot of times our first instinct when we see trouble or trouble comes our way, we brace ourselves in a way that's in a defeated manner. It's just kind of a natural thing for a lot of people. But if when we see trouble come our way, if we brace ourselves like this, like put your game face on, like, okay, it's on now. I can handle this. I can do this with God. I know that God has allowed this, apparently. So he's going to bring me through it, and I'm about to learn something. Whatever I have, that's what I'm going to put into this thing, and God's going to do the rest. So I look at it as, with the mindset shift that Rajel was talking about, it's really just getting that in that game mode in your head. Like everything that you do when you know you're about to face something that either that's gonna win or you gonna win, what do you do for your stance to be ready for this thing, to face up against it?
So put yourself in ready position.
Right.
Anybody who's trained for any sort of athletics knows that there's a certain position to be in, to be braced for when a challenge comes. It's defense, your defensive posture, where you get in ready position so that you can move, so that you can pivot, so that you can go in either direction, depending on what direction the thing tries to take you, so that you're ready for it. It's that readiness, it's that bracing, it's that preparation for it. It's that thinking of the contingency plans, thinking of what could be, thinking of how we will maneuver through this instead of just being a passive participant in the attack, in the trouble. Figure out, how do I flow through this? How do I flow through this? How do I make sure that I'm postured correctly? How do I maintain my composure? How do I keep my cool even in the midst of trouble? How do I keep a level head? How do I keep from letting my mind bring all these crazy thoughts to me, and instead staying in a right mind, in a position to make good decisions and to react in a positive way, even through challenging situations? And so that's what we have to do, as Camille said, to be in ready position. So we've changed our perspectives on trouble to begin to see troubles as opportunities. We've braced ourselves in the ready position that Camille told us is necessary to be able to maneuver through and with even trouble. And then I want to look at verse 3. It says, "For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." When your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. It is the testing, the faith testing, that strengthens our endurance. It is when what we're believing for, in spite of the difficulties of the situation around us, when we don't see it manifesting, when we don't see it materializing, when we don't see it working the way that we were anticipating, it's in those minutes that we actually are beginning to build up or to work out the muscle of endurance. Oh my goodness, which is vital and necessary for us to be able to excel and progress in life. If we don't have any endurance, we won't be able to make it through anything that life throws at us. But it is through the testing of our faith that endurance is stretched, that endurance is strengthened, that endurance is worked out so that it becomes kind of a normal pattern of your life, a muscle that you can flex whenever trouble comes your way. And so this text is telling us, don't get all worked up because some trouble came at you. Trouble's going to come at all of us. Instead, begin to see trouble as opportunity. Begin to brace yourself and posture and position yourself to flow with and through the trouble, and also begin to allow the muscle of endurance to be built so that that begins to be an automatic kind of reflex response that you have. So this becomes a system, it becomes a lifestyle, it becomes a natural response or a natural reflex that you have when trouble comes, that you don't get all worked up, but you're like, okay, this is just working out my endurance muscle. If I can get through this, then I absolutely can get through the next thing. I was talking to somebody this week, and they were sharing their testimony of being shot and having sicknesses and being on their sick bed and all of these things that have been persistent, and loss and grief and relationship trouble, just one piece of trouble after another. And what came to my mind is that, wow, if you endured all of that, then certainly whatever the next thing that comes your way, like, you are built for it. You are, oh yeah, I need you to understand that. Whoever that is that just joined on here just now, I need you to understand that you are built for the trouble that is coming against you. You are hardwired to be victorious in the face of the trouble that is coming against you. You are designed for it. You are designed to be able to endure the trouble that is trying its best to wear you down, to stress you out, to anger you, to make you upset, to make you lose it. You don't have to lose it because you've been through so much already. What's this? And when you, oh goodness, think about weightlifting. When you begin to weightlift and you build up that strength, and you've been working out with 225 on the bar, bench pressing, if somebody throws a lighter weight on there and you just got to lift it once, that's no trouble to you because you're in shape. And I'm here to tell you today that your trouble of your past has gotten you in shape to be able to, oh God, even minimize the trouble that's facing you today. You are built for it. You're designed for it. You're in shape to handle this, to go through it with a different mindset than other people might go through. You're in shape to deal with the trouble that has come your way. Your trouble is right sized for you. You know how to handle it. That's just, that's your warm-up weight. When you look at trouble that comes at you, these little attacks, these little people talking about you, these little things where people are lying on you, these little attacks, that is nothing in comparison to everything that you've been through already that has brought you to the point that you are at right now. You can warm up with this thing that came against you right now. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. That attack doesn't mean nothing to me. So I can see that as an opportunity to ready myself and to begin to strengthen and build up my muscles of endurance so that I stay on my game, so that I don't let little stuff become big stuff in my life, so that I can manage the attacks that come against me, because I recognize that greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world.
That was good.
I felt good. I felt good. What's up, Heather?
Hey, Heather.
You found us.
She found the chat. She found us. Yeah, so just real quick on verse 2 in the Amplified version, it says, whenever you fall into various trials, that's just the last part of the sentence. Whenever you fall into various trials, like, the fact is that there will be many. Okay, so we have to stop trying to avoid them and trying to run away from them. Not, of course, go find mess, but just knowing that that's a part of life. That is a part of how we are going to get strengthened. That's how our endurance is built up. So just knowing, always knowing that, yep, there's going to be trials, that already helps you to be in the ready position. So when something does come up, you're not taken off guard, right? Because you're like, okay, here this comes, so let me handle it. But so verse 3 in the Amplified version says, be assured that the testing of your faith through experience produces endurance. So I like that part where it says, be assured that the testing of your faith. So you can be sure of this, that this faith, the testing of your faith, it's going to produce endurance.
Wow.
So that you can
Guaranteed.
bank on.
Mhm.
So it's not like you're going through stuff for no reason. You can be sure, you can put your money on it that it's going to produce endurance. It's going
Yeah.
to produce something good.
Yeah.
Of course, our mindset has to be right when we're going through this, right? We don't want it to produce other negative things. So that's what I really like about this version, how it points out that the experiences, that through these experiences, so we have to have trials, we have to have these experiences, right? Because that's what is the tool that gets us to the better endurance, the more sound and perfected endurance, right? This says leading to spiritual maturity and inner peace.
Yeah.
So when it produces that endurance, we are also getting out of this spiritual maturity and inner peace. Don't we want peace?
Mm-hmm.
We always say we want that kind of thing. I don't know anyone who doesn't want to be mature
Right.
spiritually. This all works together. Then it reminds me of the verse Romans 8:28. For all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord. It's this whole just gamut of things that come together to produce this endurance, to produce spiritual maturity, to produce inner peace.
Yeah, it's like a web. It's all connected and tied together. That's awesome. The other thing I see in your amplified version that I want us to not go too fast. I love the assurance. Like it's a guarantee. Like it's really a formula.
Mm-hmm.
If you go through trouble, you're certainly going to build your endurance. Right? If you don't go through trouble, this is the flip side of it. Then you won't have any endurance. Mm-hmm. And we see that when we look at people, when we look at, generationally, whatever higher generation you're in, you look at the next generation, whether it's true or not, we always default to a belief, they weak. They haven't been through what I've been through. I walked to school uphill both ways in the snowstorms, right? Every generation we feel like they can't take as much. Well, it's not necessarily that they can't take as much. It's that they haven't had as many experiences as the generation that preceded them have had yet to test if they can take it, to build their endurance. Because what do when we become parents and uncles and aunts? And older siblings, we do everything we can to soften the blows of life on that next generation. And what we inadvertently do in that is we ill-equip them for facing the actual trials and troubles that life will bring. But what I was getting to that the Amplified says, it's assured that the testing of your faith, and then it has in parentheses, through experience, produces endurance. Like it is the experiences of life, the good and the bad, the up and the down. It is the multitude of experiences that we have that builds that capacity within us to be able to endure or to stay through. That's how I like to look at enduring, to stay through or to face the problem head on, to like persevere and press your way through the situations. We don't develop those muscles of pressing through without some experiences. And so why do bad things happen to good people? Well, maybe part of it is so that those good people don't fall down whenever something bad comes, because the winds and the currents of life are going to bring some stuff to you. And then it becomes a matter of if you can endure it, if you can resist it, if you can walk through it. Like I see it powering through the storm, through the wind, through the rain, through the vicissitudes of life. If you can do that, you're getting stronger with every push. You're getting, who am I talking to today? You are getting stronger with every press. You are getting stronger with every resistance to the thing that's trying to push you back. You're getting stronger with every step forward. Every day that you wake up and say, I'm going to go after this again, you just got stronger. Your endurance just gets strengthened. It just built up. You just increased your max weight that you can live. You just made it so that you could go from glory to glory, from strength to strength, from faith to faith. You just climbed a little higher. You just went to the next dimension, the next level. It is the requirement for you to get stronger. You have to deal with the adversity of the weight that is trying to come against you. And through experience, it will produce endurance. It's through those experiences, the ones you want, the ones you don't. That's how we learn. It produces wisdom. It produces endurance. We know what to do next time. We know what not to do next time. We know what route to go through. Every lesson learned increases your ability to make it a little bit easier the next time, because you built up the muscle of endurance.
Muscle memory.
Say it. Talk about it.
I don't know much about it, but with it, in my mind, I'm seeing, with strength training, when you're lifting weights, using dumbbells and stuff like that, your muscles have muscle memory, and it knows. You could probably explain it better than me, but it knows, it remembers like where you're at, what you can do, where you start from, what level you're starting from. And then even with lifting weights, there has to be, there's a time period where your muscles are getting stronger. So you lift weights, and then in that in-between time, between the next time you lift weights, your muscles are recovering, but also at the same time getting stronger, so that the next time you come to it, you're building from that last point you're at.
Yeah.
Is there more to muscle memory that you can add? I don't know, but that's just when you were talking about this last thing. That's what I was thinking.
You and Heather. So here's what I will add. Muscle memory makes your body respond automatically. Like a reflex.
It knows what to do.
Yeah. Muscle memory makes your body just do the right thing against the resistance without you really even having to process it. So two quick examples. You all remember the movie Karate Kid. And so Mr. Miyagi, I'm talking about the for real Karate Kid.
Original.
The real, like, come on back to
way back
to the late 80s, the mid 80s, I think. Come on back. And Mr. Miyagi made Daniel wax on and wax off. And he was just waxing his car, right? He made him do the same thing on fence. You got to watch the movie if you haven't seen the original. What he was teaching Daniel was what he didn't realize. He was teaching him how to do karate.
He surprised himself.
Yeah. Yep. So Mr. Miyagi, when at the climax of the scene.
Spoiler or?
No, yeah.
Somebody should have seen it by now.
Should. If you didn't see it by now, you're probably not going to. But what he learned when he was waxing on and waxing off, he was actually learning how to block. How to block the kicks and how to block the punches that were coming his way. And then he was painting the fence. He had to paint the fence. He was learning. So when he got into the battle,
the new one too.
Yeah, the new one probably stole it a little bit.
Well, he was doing it with a coat.
Yeah. So, but he didn't know that's what he was learning. But it's because he had put him in a situation where he had to do resistance, where he had trouble, where he had a lot of work. And through that work, his body learned how to automatically, without thinking, just, that's what I'm supposed to, my body thinks this is what it's supposed to do. Same thing, my world is musicians, so it's less physically intense than the muscles that we're talking about in other places. But you practice certain finger moves and certain scales so that your hands just kind of know what movements to make. You don't have to really think. It's just when you practice certain responses, when you practice certain movements, they become a default, a reflex that you don't have to think about. But when troubles come, when situations arise, you will automatically do the right thing if you've allowed the trouble to build up your resistance, to build up your muscle memory. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
So Heather, one of her comments says, "I was just talking about being spiritually mature with my little cousin yesterday." So yeah, that's another result you get out of this endurance, right? And these experiences is it builds your spiritual maturity, and so that when these troubles come, you do respond correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You respond according to whatever this trouble is, right? Whatever category it is. You don't look at it, you're less likely to look at it from a natural um, way of seeing this thing, but you're more quick, more apt to look at it from the spiritual perspective, even in the times when you need to recognize that actually this is a spiritual attack. I see you, devil.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can kind of laugh at it and be like, okay, this is like nothing. It's supposed to look big to me, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been through stuff like this before. I already know. Like, there's, stuff that you don't even have to respond to.
Yeah.
There's stuff that there is a proper response for it. But yeah, that's where that spiritual maturity is coming in and coming into play because of the experiences, because of the built up endurance.
Yeah. So, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind, we skipped over that in the beginning. Troubles of any kind. I don't
I
care what
said
the trouble
various
is.
trials, right?
Various, yeah, a variety of them. Any
Mhm.
any kind, whatever it is that comes to you. When troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity. First, you got to shift your mind. Then you brace for the trouble. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. A chance. Look, I'm going to give you a chance to grow. I'm going to send you some trouble, right? I'm going to give you a chance to handle this one better than you handled the last one. Here's some trouble.
Mhm.
God will allow trouble and tests and trials to come to those he trusts to be able to handle it.
Mhm.
But he will not put more on you than you can bear. But he will, with the testing, make a way of escape. All of this stuff works together.
Mhm.
I'm just going all Bible to y'all and just bringing different parts together in different ways. And so for you know that when your faith is tested, the faith testing strengthens endurance. It automatically, what does yours say? The Where's the assured?
Oh,
You
okay.
are assured that the testing of your faith through experience produces endurance, leading to what Camille talked about, spiritual maturity and inner peace. You don't got to get all frazzled. You can keep your peace because you know I'm built for this.
Mhm.
It's actually producing something good in me, even though I don't feel like going through it. It's just like if I told you go run 5 miles, like you don't want to, but you know that it's good to help you. You know that it's good for you, right? And so many times we're put in these predicaments that aren't good to us, but they are good for us.
Mhm.
And we have to be able to keep our mindset on the point that we can gain spiritual maturity through this, that we're being developed through this, and that we're gaining peace
Mhm.
in the midst of this. And then verse 4 is the last one. So let it grow. Let what grow? Your endurance, right? It says, so let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. I wish you would just type, I'm just going to let it grow. I'm just going to let it grow. Uh, so my trouble's coming. We have this tendency to try to fix it and wait, let me get rid of all of it. Uh-oh, trouble's coming. Let me avoid it. We try to escape our trouble. But this text tells us, well, there are times when you just need to let it grow.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's something in me I need to go through this apparently. And you all have experienced this. Have you ever thought you escaped from trouble, and then the same scenario presents itself in a different form where you thought you had escaped to? Uh, and so
Yep.
you really can't escape the development of God. God is going to put you in a developmental circle, and we run and we try to get out of it. And so now we in a new city, and a new person comes and brings the same test to us. That's because we don't get to the next level until we pass the test.
The
You don't,
test.
Caden don't get to go to 6th grade until she completes 5th grade, right? So you can try to move yourself and transfer to another school, transfer to another location, move to another city, break up with that person, get a new significant other. But if there's something that needs to be developed in you, it's going to be developed in you. So here it is. Let it grow. Let your endurance grow. Let your spiritual maturity grow. Let your inner peace grow. Let your development of endurance and your ability to persist and to persevere, let it grow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's good. Again, the Amplified Version reads, and let endurance have its perfect result and do a thorough work. Like, this stuff is good for us, right? It has a perfect result. There's something that God is trying to get this result in you. It says it's perfect result and do a thorough work. Yeah. It's gonna work you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessarily an easy thing.
It's not a quick,
right. This says it's going to do a thorough work. What thorough work do you know is easy? It's thorough. It's going to hit the cracks and the crevices so that you may be perfect and completely developed. We can't be half developed, y'all.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't work out well.
Yeah.
When you have a piece of something, but you don't have the completeness of it, you don't have the completeness of the knowledge. You're like half baked, right?
Yeah.
So it says, let this perfect result thing happen, and let it do a thorough work so that you may be perfect and completely developed in your faith, lacking in nothing. So we can't abort the missions. We can't abort the opportunities that God gives us. But I tell you what, this is the other thing that happens too. Like, the wisdom that you come out of a situation with, you can't unwisdom that. Like, it's there. You will always have that experience. You will always have that wisdom that you gain from it. You will always have that to lean on in the future.
Yeah. What I just heard when you through from you, what I heard was that we can't pull ourselves out of God's developmental processes too soon. And we try to, like, oh, it hurts.
It gets heavy.
I'm done. Oh, this is really hard. I quit. Oh man, I don't want to have to go through this any more of this kind of pain. I'm leaving. I'm out. Right? We can't afford to pull ourselves out of God's developmental processes too soon, or we will be half-baked. This says that he wants to do a thorough work in you so that you are fully developed, so that you are so that you are perfect and entire, lacking nothing. That's what mine says, perfect and complete. Actually, the King James says perfect and entire. This New Living says, so let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed. Like, don't take it out of the oven too soon, or it's going to be raw. When it's fully developed, you will be perfect. Listen to that. You will be perfect and complete, or whole. Really, that perfect and complete, that's really what it means. Whole. You will be. Don't you want to be whole?
That's where the peace comes in.
Yeah. Aren't you tired of being fragmented? Aren't you tired of being partial? Like, you can, like, let him do what he's doing in you. I'm going through some process right now where I'm like, all right, just do it all. Do it all. Get the stuff that isn't in me all the way out. Do it all, for one, because I don't want to come back to this place again.
Right.
Like, so whatever. Let everything come up that needs to come up. Like, just get it. Let it grow. Come on, bring it. Let it grow, because I want to be whole. I don't know about you, but I need to be whole, perfect and entire, lacking nothing. Sorry, I keep saying King James. Perfect and complete is what New Living says. Perfect and complete, needing nothing. I like the Amplified. It says, you may be perfect and completely developed in your faith, lacking in nothing.
We can
Because if
have
your
it.
faith is complete, there's nothing else that you can't have. Like, take anything in the world away from me that you want to, but leave me with my faith,
Right.
and I can build all the rest of it back up.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
I like Heather's keywords that she's pulling out of this. Mentally, this is a lot of the same stuff that I'm locking into, Heather. She wrote keywords: assurance, strengthening, endurance, discipline, maturity, faith, growth, development.
That's good.
Look at all we get out of this, y'all.
That's good. That's good. All right. So once you've grown to endure trials and maintain your faith, there will be nothing that you can't face. You hear that? I mean, think about that. There will be nothing that you can't face. You'll be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. And so if, I said this and I'm going to say it again, if you lose everything else and maintain your faith, you've lost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard math right there.
Hey, Mom Jones, we see you.
Hey, Mom.
You found us.
You found us. Welcome, welcome. If you lose everything else and maintain your faith, you've lost nothing. Because through faith, you can build everything else back. Like, you've lost nothing.
On a solid foundation, too. Like, it's not just like willy-nilly building, and like it comes with so much wisdom at that point. Anything that needed to be torn down is torn down. Now you can build correctly, right?
Yeah. Your faith is more powerful and let me say this right. Your faith is more valuable than any tangible thing. Your faith is more valuable than any emotional thing. Your faith is more valuable than any relational thing. Your faith is more valuable than anything else that you have. It's the pinnacle of value in your life. Like, if I have my connection between me and God solid, come what may. Come what may. If I know He's with me, then He's more than the world against me. That's what that scripture is getting at. If God be for you, He's more than the world against you. Oh boy.
Like when I look at the words in the Amplified version where it talks about how it produces endurance in you, which leads to the spiritual maturity and inner peace. Like, you can't beat inner peace.
Yeah.
Like, to have inner peace, like, that just does so much for a person. There's surety within yourself. There's confidence. There's peace.
Yeah.
It's not peace on the outside of you. It's within you.
Inner peace.
It's grown to be that. It's developed into that. When we have inner peace, look at how our minds are more at ease.
Yeah. And this all stems from faith. Your faith maintains your vision and overrides your sight. I wish somebody would type that. Your faith maintains your vision and overrides your sight. So it keeps giving you something to push toward even when trouble comes, right? Your faith allows you to keep on seeing the prize.
That's the spiritual maturity.
Yeah. You keep on seeing the big picture.
You see it correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. And all this other stuff that your sight does see, your natural eye does see, doesn't even matter. So I'm going to say that statement again with that context in mind. Your faith maintains your vision and overrides your sight.
I need to see right.
I need to see right. Somebody should type that. I need to see right. Even when trouble comes, I need to keep seeing right. So faith empowers you to endure stress. That's where the scripture ends up really just tying in. So I'm going to say that again. Faith empowers you to endure stress. And that makes you begin to have some statements like, I see this situation working out. Yeah. Don't you want to be able to say that?
Right, Heather? Walk by faith, not by
sight.
sight.
Yeah. So when you have hard situations that come, Our natural reaction when we don't process through this process that God has given us is, oh no, everything's falling apart. Everything's collapsing, and we're like all over the place. We're tossed to and fro. But when we keep that lens of faith that this text is talking about, then we can say, I don't know how, but I see that this situation is going to work out. Or I see God moving in the midst of this troubling time.
Right.
That's how people have, and we look up and we respect people when we see people going through stuff like that and they're maintaining their faith. We're like, wow, because that's what we need to do. I see God moving in the midst of my trouble.
Yeah.
I still believe that He is able. That's faith. That's faith endurance. I still believe that He's able. I believe He will work this situation out for my good. So maintain your faith to endure your trials and tribulations. You can make it through this situation, whatever it is that you're facing. You can make it through this situation if you believe. If you believe. I want to read the New Living one more time. I want Camille to read the Amplified one more time, and I'm done.
I want to say one thing
please.
before we wrap
Go
it up
ahead.
like that. One thing that just came to my mind that I a lot of times find myself doing when I don't see things in the right way when troubles come to me, because I get irritated because I'm like, here we go, something else, or why is this happening to me? A lot of times that's my question, like, why do I have to deal with this? Why? Because I feel like I haven't gone and looked and to seek out anything like this in my life. But my prayer a lot of times nowadays, I say almost every time, I feel like just because of some other experiences in the last year that I've gone through, I do realize that it's something that when I feel like it's something that God is allowing, I say, God, help me to hear you through this situation. Help me to feel you. Help me to see you working in this situation, because I know I have to go through this. I know I have to deal with this, but please let me feel you. Let me see you. Reveal yourself in this situation so that I can come on through to the end, to the other side.
And that gives you a peace. If you can see Him in it, like, okay, I'm all right.
It gives you a focus too, because at that point I'm looking for God.
Instead of the trouble.
Like crazy stuff might be happening, but I'm like, okay, where's God in that? Like, and that's what helps to navigate me through situations. So that might be helpful to some of you, to try to, if it's frustrating when it first hits you, or if you're starting to feel just turmoil, loss, confusion, no peace, chaos, ask the Lord to show Himself to you. Ask Him to let you hear Him. Ask Him and be open to how He reveals Himself in the situation. It could be little instances, little glimpses of things that He has tweaked or shown His hand in, or maybe He's given you a way to respond, but ask Him to show Himself.
I just got to say this. God's presence is a stabilizer. That's why when we seek Him in worship, it feels so good, right? When we can get in His presence, it stabilizes us. It calms us down.
It calibrates.
It calibrates and recalibrates us to be like, all right, I'm good. I'm good. So that's why it's good to get in His presence through worship, through prayer, through your Bible, through coming together and talking through stuff like this. That's the part of it that feels so good. Like, that's why you seek this out, because it feels that He's a stabilizer. There's a peace in the thing. Like, there's certain people who you connect to when you know that they're operating in God, that you feel peace when you're around them. There's certain people's homes that you go to that you just fall asleep because there's a peace, because His presence is there, and His presence is a stabilizer. He is the peace be still God. He is the God that looked at the winds and the seas and the waves and the storm, and He said, peace be still. His presence is a stabilizer in your life. All right, I'm going to read this. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing.
Amplified version. Consider it nothing but joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you fall into various trials. Be assured that the testing of your faith through experience produces endurance, leading to spiritual maturity and inner peace. And let endurance have its perfect result and do a thorough work so that you may be perfect and completely developed in your faith, lacking in nothing.
That's awesome. That's good trouble. So, all right. We're glad you all found
Mhm.
us today over on YouTube. This is about to be home for
Mhm.
Weekly Wisdom. Lock this in, and we'll see
Yeah.
you. You have a great week, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys.